5 on 20 News with Tammy King and Pancho. We're coming to you live from our studio in downtown Tucson. It's Tuesday, January 30th. First in local headlines. I'm going to take it. New tariffs imposed last week on solar technology imports could hit by Arizona consumers and lead to a loss of thousands of jobs, according to the Solar Energy Industry Association. In 2016, 40% of the renewable energy generated in Arizona was solar, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, even though renewables only accounted for 7% of all energy generation in the state. Brandon Cheshire of Arizona Energy Industries Association said that there will be a 15 to 30% reduction in solar integration across the state as a result of the tariff. The president announced the 30% tariff last week on imports, which he said was meant to level the playing field against other countries who export their solar technology, such as China. But Cheshire says that the tariffs can backfire by only having American competitors. This is because U.S. firms are free to rise prices as they please without improving the product, kind of like pharmaceutical drugs and Will Smith. Get it? Oh, okay. The developer of the Rio Nuevo building project in downtown Tucson is close to an agreement with the city. If finalized, the building, to be located on Broadway and 6th Avenue, will be the tallest building in Tucson. Missouri-based J.E. Dunn Construction has the highest ranked proposal and will likely get the deal. Todd Freed of J.E. Dunn said that the 250,000 square feet will be used for an office space and another 4,000 square feet would be dedicated to retail shops with additional space for parking. Freed said that the building has the potential to bring in 1,250 new jobs and sales tax revenue of $2.2 million for Tucson. If approved, the building should be up within 2.5 years. Freed says that the building will rise 300 feet and will likely block all of Tucson's sun. So much for the solar industry, you know, because it'll block the sun and whatever. The Border Patrol expects a surge of border crossings in the Southwest if Donald Trump's big, beautiful wall ends up being built. Border Patrol Union President Brandon Judd told KTAR News that the agency is prepared for the rush of border crossings, but says they are not staffed for it. There are over 2,000 less Border Patrol agents working across the country than there were in 2011, mainly because Border Patrol jobs have been difficult to fill. Judd says that the pay and job dissatisfaction are two of the major reasons for the shortage. He then said that he had wished there were some more that he could pay for workers, like say maybe not spending $20 billion on a wall. It's a lot of money. Arizona Mojave County has had more an opioid prescription than people in 2016, according to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. The data showed that the rural county dispensed 127.5 opioid prescriptions per 100 residents last year, making it the highest of any county in the state. Arizona's average rate was a little over 70 prescriptions per 100 people, which was slightly above the U.S. average of 65 per 100 people. The figures showed that the opioid prescription fell by 10% over the past decade in Arizona. However, these numbers grew in Mojave County, along with the other rural counties such as Cochise County and La Paz. The CDC sampled 59,000 pharmacies nationwide and only provided the ratio per 100 people. It didn't show the number of pills prescribed or the number of people with multiple prescriptions. Due to the increase of opioids, the Kingman Police Department was the first Arizona law enforcement agency to train and equipped patrol officers with naloxone, an overdose reversal drug. Kingman Deputy Police Chief Rusty Cooper said that the officers have reversed 5 overdoses since the department began using the substance in August 2016. The report comes a week after Governor Doug Ducey signed the Arizona Opioid Epidemic Act, which was unanimously approved by the legislature. The bill imposes restrictions on prescribing opioids, funds addiction treatments, and distributes naloxone to county health departments and police departments across the state. When trying to gain support for the bill, Ducey named 4 Mojave County practitioners who wrote prescriptions for nearly 6 million pills over the year. Ducey said that the bill allows the state to go after bad actors who operate pill mills and drug manufacturers who commit fraud. Ducey also defined bad actors as someone who failed to donate to his re-election campaign. You're going to take this one? Oh, I guess I will. The House Intelligence Committee voted to release a memo written by Committee Chairman Devin Nunes that reportedly contains information about alleged abuses by the FBI. The classified memo has been talked about for the past week as Republicans had demanded for its release. A few members of the committee were able to view the memo last week, with Representative Mark Meadows calling its contents shocking. However, Democratic Representative Adam Schiff, who's also in the committee, said that the memo was a distraction and an attempt by Republicans to discredit the FBI. Schiff tried to release a separate memo that he says puts Nunes' memo into context, but the House committee voted to not release Schiff's memo. Schiff says that without context, the information is incomplete and misleading, but the Nunes memo reportedly says that the FBI abused the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. Nunes claims that they used information from the opposition research dossier on Trump to obtain a FISA warrant for former Trump campaign staffer Carter Page. In the dossier, Page is said to have colluded with Russia. However, Schiff claims that the dossier was not used to get the warrant, which his own memo details. Not to be undone, Mark Meadows is drafting his own 3rd memo, which describes an FBI plot to cover up how much Adam Schiff sucks. Schiff is already crafting his own 4th comeback memo. I wish you would have helped me out with that last one. I'll just do it. Plastic pollution is killing coral reefs in Australia, Thailand, Indonesia, and Myanmar, according to a 4-year study conducted by Cornell University. Drew Harville, one of the authors of the study, said that the likelihood of disease increases from 4% to 89% when corals are in contact with plastic. She said that the plastic could be harming a coral in at least 2 ways. First, bacteria and other harmful microorganisms are abundant in the water and on corals. Second, when the coral weakens, new openings are created that invite pathogens into the coral. She said that the plastic basically tears open the skin of the coral and allows its infections from anywhere to start. Harville also says that the plastic can be blocking sunlight from reaching the coral. Their team estimates that there may be over 11 billion plastic items that are entangled in coral reefs in the Asia-Pacific region, home to over half of the world's coral reefs. Their survey also didn't include China, one of the biggest sources of plastic pollution. They found that Australian reefs had the least amount of plastic, likely due to better control over waste, according to the researchers. It turns out that dropping plastic into a bucket, particularly into a recycling bucket, is more effective than throwing it into the ocean, commonly known as the Thailand twirl. I guess. I don't know. Sounds like a dance. No. President Trump refused to sign a bipartisan bill that would inflict further sanctions on some Russia individuals in the defense and intelligence sectors. The sanctions law also included producing a list of 96 Russian oligarchs will close ties to Moscow. Russia President Vladimir Putin said that the move is an insult and would lead to, quote, very serious circumstances. A State Department spokesman said that the sanctions would be used to address concerns related to Russia's aggression in Ukraine, abuses of human rights, and the interference in the other nation's domestic affairs. This includes allegations that Russians interfered in the 2016 election that led to President Trump. But Trump refused to sign the bill because he said, listen closely here, the measure itself is already, quote, serving as a deterrent. So, in other words, bringing the bill up was enough to stop Russia from interfering in our elections. This is despite CIA leader and Trump confidant Mike Pompeo saying in an interview with the BBC that Russia is looking to interfere with our midterm elections. Pompeo said that he's not seen a significant decrease in Russian activity and expressed his concern with both the House and the Senate. Trump says that he will, however, sign the sanctions bill if Democrats win in November. All righty. Andrew McCabe stepped down from the FBI's deputy director on Monday after months of criticism from the president. McCabe told friends that he was receiving pressure from the FBI director Christopher Wray to leave. According to the New York Times, Wray told colleagues that he suggested moving McCabe to another job, which would have been a demotion. Rather than take the job, McCabe chose to leave the bureau. His retirement was expected soon, but McCabe's split was still surprising and abrupt. He leaves right before an expected release of an Inspector General's report that is supposed to be highly critical of the FBI's actions in 2016, when the FBI was investigating Hillary Clinton's email use and possibly collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. The report is expected to address whether McCabe should have recused himself from the Clinton investigation because of his wife's failed state Senate campaign. McCabe's wife, Jill, ran for the Senate seat in Virginia as a Democrat and accepted almost $500,000 in contributions from the political organization of Terry McAuliffe, a longtime friend of Clinton's. The White House said that it had nothing to do with McCabe's exit, with White House spokesman Sarah Huckabee Sanders saying that the president wasn't part of the decision-making process. However, a report by NBC News claims that the Trump told McCabe that he should ask his wife how it felt to be a loser after she lost the election. The report says that Trump made the remarks on the phone call to McCabe the day that he fired former FBI Director James Comey. Trump called to ask why Comey was allowed to fly on an FBI plane from LA to Washington, D.C. after he was fired. McCabe reportedly responded that he didn't know, but he would have authorized the flight. Trump then reportedly fell silent, then told him to ask his wife about being a loser. Trump also reportedly once asked McCabe who he voted for when they met at the Oval Office. McCabe reportedly responded, "These nuts." That was supposed to be your story. All right. Tonight marks the first State of the Union address of Donald Trump. Trump will reportedly pressure Congress to adopt his immigration plan, which he rolled out last week. The measure calls for millions in additional funding for border security, including the construction of his big, beautiful wall. So far, the bill hasn't been met with approval except from hardline conservatives. It would give DACA recipients a path to citizenship after 10 to 12 years, which immigration advocates say is too long. Democrats also oppose the funding for a border wall. Trump is also expected to roll out his $1 trillion infrastructure plan, which has been trickling out of the media over the past week. From what we've been able to tell, the plan involves public-private partnership and will include the waiving of environmental laws in order to fix up the country's crumbling infrastructure. And of course, Trump will likely take some time to brag about the economy, how he won the presidency, and the size of his inauguration, you know, where all the people came. Yesterday, the White House also revealed special guests who will attend the State of the Union. Guests include parents whose children were killed by an MS-13 member, a police officer who was shot on duty, and for some reason, Jake Paul will be there. Do you know Jake Paul? I can't get anything out of this guy. This has been 5 on 20 News with Tammy King and Pancho. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube account. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for all the latest Creative Tucson news and content. You can also feel free to get in touch with us at info@creative.org. Thanks for watching. Stay creative, Tucson. Thanks a lot. Nothing. Zilch.